I commit chapter 4 of Genesis to my Lord Jesus Christ, who is the Word and Creator of this. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. So here we know about how Adam and Eve obviously made love. Notice the word knew, which is another term used later in the Bible, how God knows us. It's very intimate knowledge. It's not the same as the knowledge that most philosophers talk about of knowledge. It's just, which is sort of superficial knowledge, like savoir in French rather than connu. Knowing is very deep, intimate knowing of your wife. And she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I've gotten a man from the Lord. So she's so thankful she's got a man from the Lord. She's not said she's got a man from Adam. Notice that. So it's Cain was given to Eve by Adam. Sorry, by the Lord. I got that mistake. And she again bare his brother Abel. So she gets pregnant again. It doesn't say how quickly, but we know later on they must be similar in age because they grow up together and things like that. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Notice how the Lord has put the word but in there. So Abel kept sheep. We know that Christ is our shepherd, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. So Cain's job was to till the ground, which obviously the sheep would have fed from. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. So Cain now brings an offering of fruit unto the Lord. So this is interesting. It's not told you beforehand, and this concept of bringing fruit to the ground, offering to the Lord. So trust that this is something they were taught beforehand by the Lord himself, because this time people only ever do what the Lord has really instructed them to do, and obviously from the parents as well, I would have thought. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Now notice in verse 4, Abel gives the fat as well as of the flock. That's just different to what Cain's. It seems to me that Abel's brought forth more, the fat, and we know that the Lord has respect unto Abel for what he's done. That's not said in verse 3 about Cain's offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. So in verse 5 he tells us no respect. He didn't say that in verse 3. Notice though the comparing and contrasting. It's incredible the way that the Lord speaks through the gospel. The Lord is incredibly particular about every single word, every single sentence, every single grammatical constructor of this, the word, how he speaks to us. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. So it seems Cain was wroth after knowing that Abel had respect, but not to Cain. So Cain must have offered it. That's it, yeah. So Cain offered it. Abel then offered it, and then he could see that, oh, Abel's being respected, and I'm being told I'm not being respected. I get very angry. Cain got very angry and his countenance fell. He drooped, depression fell or whatever. His countenance fell, which meant he had countenance beforehand. Possibly pride. You do wonder, don't you? And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? Interesting question, because we know that the Lord already knows the answer to these questions. So God is testing Cain. God is always testing us. We are testing because we have to show we love him, and he also tests us to admonish us, to teach us how worthy he is. And interesting, it's very particular. So Cain is wrath, his countenance fell, and Christ the Lord asks him, why art thou wroth? Why is thy countenance fallen? If thou dost well, shalt thou not be accepted? Well, clearly Abel will know the answer to that. The answer is yes. If you do well, you'll be accepted. You know that. The answer, it has to be yes. It wouldn't be no, would it? It doesn't make any sense. And if thou dost not well, sin lieth at the door. Look at that contrast. You do well, you're accepted. You don't do well, sin lies at the door. It's black and white like that. Blatantly black and white. There's no greyness about this. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. So notice, sin has got a personality. unto thee shall be his desire. So sin's desire is a him, as the desire to get to Cain, and thou shalt rule over. You've got to rule over your sin. This person, this sin, must be speaking of the devil. Something like that. That's all I can think of at the moment. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel in his brother and slew him. I'll say that again because I did it bad. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. Now, it's interesting how, and it says, and Cain talked with Abel. Maybe Cain went to talk to Abel about what God had said to him, and maybe he was asking him, Abel, what do I need to do? And perhaps Cain just wasn't hearing what his brother was saying, didn't like what his brother was saying. And I'm sure Abel was saying the right things. And it came to pass when they were in the field, and notice in the field, it's very particular why God is telling us they were in the field. Maybe there's somewhere else before that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. Absolutely terrible. I shall finish there.